Hello children and welcome to our special English hour. Here we learn lots of new things and have fun while doing it. Are you all ready? Let's get started. We will start our day with a fun tongue twister. Are you all ready? It is the same tongue twister that we did in our previous session. Let's see if I can say it correctly 5 times. The tongue twister was, I saw a cat eating chicken in the kitchen. Now, I will try to say this faster. I saw a cat eating chicken in the kitchen. I saw a cat eating chicken in the kitchen. I saw a cat eating chicken in the kitchen. I saw a cat eating chicken in the kitchen. I saw a cat eating chicken in the kitchen. Okay, it was very difficult, but I was able to do it. Were you able to do this? If you were, try doing this with your friends as well. We all know that it is very important for us to learn new words in order to learn a language. Now, let's learn some new words from the story that we are going to read today. Admired, admired, admired. The king admired his daughter. Stronger, stronger, stronger. She was stronger than her brother. Recruited, recruited, recruited. The king recruited a guard for himself. Underestimated, underestimated, underestimated. Everybody underestimated her talent. Merchant, merchant, merchant. The merchant had come to the city for trade. Now, let's read a story from our Balbharati textbook. The name of the story is Yonamine and Bushi. Please open page number 44 of your textbook. I will be reading the story and I request you to point at the words as I read them. If you don't have a textbook, listen to me carefully. Yonamine Chiru was the most admired girl in Okinawa. She was intelligent, tall, strong, big and beautiful. And most important of all, she was so well trained in karate that no one could beat her. When it was time to get her married, her father, who was a rich merchant, began to worry. He loved his daughter and wanted her to be happy and well cared for. She was beautiful, and she would inherit a fortune from him. But where, oh where, could he find a young man who would come forward to marry a woman who was stronger than him? Yonamine was a girl who lived in Okinawa. Her father was a big merchant. Yonamine was tall, beautiful, bold, and very strong. She was also trained in karate. Yonamine's father wanted to get his daughter married, but there was one thought that troubled him. Since Yonamine was so strong, it was very difficult for him to find a well suitor for his daughter. Yonamine had her own ideas about marriage. She declared firmly, "I will only marry a man who can beat me in a fair fight." Surprisingly, many young men picked up the challenge and came forward to fight her. After all, she was a beautiful girl with a fortune. Many wrestlers were eager to win her in a contest of martial arts. Yonamine had her own ideas as to who will marry her. She had declared that she will only marry that person who is able to beat her in a fair fight. And because of this, there were many suitors who tried their hand at beating Yonamine. One of the first to ask for her hand was Kojo, who was actually bigger and stronger than Yonamine. He was so tall and well built that his hands were like shovels and his legs resembled tree trunks. But he played foul. Even as Yonamine was bowing to him in the customary sign of respect to one's opponent, he threw a punch at her, breaking the rules of the game. Yonamine was angry. She caught hold of his arm and twisted it so powerfully that the unsportive Kojo fell down in a heap and had to limp away defeated. One such person who challenged Yonamine was Kojo. He was a strong-built man. He was very tall and heavy. But when he was wrestling with Yonamine, he played foul. When Yonamine was bowing to her opponent as respect, he punched her in the face, and that is how he broke the rules. And this angered Yonamine. She was so angry that she caught hold of Kojo's arm and twisted it and held him down, and he was defeated. Many promising young wrestlers tried their hand, but Yonamine defeated them all. Her father was in despair. Young men wanted to marry girls who would cook and wash and make tea for their husbands. Who would marry a girl who enjoyed wrestling? Many young men tried their hands at defeating Yonamine, but all of them were unsuccessful. Yonamine's father thought that who would want a girl who loves wrestling, because a girl is complete when she can cook, feed and take care of her family, which is why her father was always worried. Bushi was just such a man. He had trained under the karate master Sakugawa. He proved to be such an expert that he was recruited by Shoko, the king of Okinawa, to be his personal guard. His friends said to Bushi, "You should take on the challenge of this girl, Yonamine. She may be big, but you are stronger and smarter than her." Bushi too was keen to marry a girl like Yonamine. He did not want a delicate, fragile girl for a wife. "I shall fight with her and win over her," he decided. Bushi was one such man. He was well trained in karate by one of the finest karate masters. His friends nudged him to challenge Yonamine. Bushi also did not want a wife who will be only working in kitchen. He wanted a fighter for a wife, which is why he decided to challenge Yonamine. Yonamine was impressed at the sight of her new challenger. She had heard that he was one of King Shoko's personal warriors. He was tall and slim. He stood firmly on his feet and seemed unshakable. Above all, he had dark, piercing eyes, which looked straight at the opponent and showed that he was fearless and straightforward. Yonamine was impressed at the sight of her challenger. He was tall and slim. He was unshakable. He had dark, piercing eyes, which gave the impression that he was confident and he was ready for a challenge. The wrestling match began. Yonamine and Bushi bowed to each other and then began to attack each other in earnest. They punched, kicked, and twisted using their best techniques. It looked as if the match was going to be a tie. Nobody winning, nobody losing. But at a crucial moment in the fight, Yonamine paused ever so briefly. Bushi took advantage of the moment and brought her down with a swift punch. Yonamine's father was a very happy man. Bushi and Yonamine were married in a splendid ceremony. Now, the fight between Yonamine and Bushi had started. They both were using their best techniques. Before they started to wrestle, they bowed in front of each other as a sign of respect. Now, the match had started. Both of them used their best techniques against each other. Everyone was confused. They were confused because it was hard to decide who was going to win. Many people thought that it was going to be a tie. But that wasn't the case. There came a point in the match where Yonamine paused. Bushi took this opportunity and he punched Yonamine. Yonamine fell on the ground and Bushi won the match. The most happy man was Yonamine's father because now his daughter was finally going to get married. Yonamine and Bushi did get married in a splendid ceremony. It was a happy marriage. Yonamine was kind and loving. She cooked and cleaned and kept the house spick and span. One day, when she was sweeping the kitchen, Bushi saw her lift a huge bag of rice with her left hand as she swept beneath the bag with her right hand. He grew thoughtful. Is she really so strong? And yet I brought her down with one punch. Yonamine and Bushi had a very happy married life. Yonamine cooked, she swept, and she cleaned. Her house was always spick and span. One day, Bushi noticed something. He saw while his wife was cleaning, she was holding a huge bag of rice in one hand while she was sweeping with her right hand. When Bushi saw this, an idea came to his mind. He wondered if his wife was so strong, how was he able to beat her with just one punch? One day, Yonamine announced that she would like to visit her parents. I will leave in the evening and return the next day in time to cook your dinner, she said to her husband. You really should not travel during the night, Bushi said to her firmly. There are bandits about. It is just not safe for a woman to go out alone after it is dark. My dear husband, you forget that you married a trained wrestler, Yonamine said to him with a smile. Don't forget that I threw you down flat on the ground, said Bushi. You are not unbeatable. Don't worry, said Yonamine. Bandits are not as skilled as you are. I can take care of myself. Bushi was not pleased. She is overconfident, he thought to himself. She must be taught a lesson for her own good. One day, Yonamine decided that she would like to go and visit her father, which is why she tells her husband that she will be leaving the next day. She was going to leave in the evening, but her husband warns her that there are bandits during the night, which is why she should not go out in the evening. But Yonamine was very strong. She told him that I am a trained wrestler, so I can take care of myself. But her husband was firm and he tells her that I had once defeated you. But his wife says that she can take care of herself because bandits are not trained. Yonamine's husband does not like this reply and he decides to teach her a lesson. That evening, Yonamine left to walk to her father's home. As soon as she departed, Bushi disguised himself as a bandit, wearing shabby clothes, smearing dark colors over his hands and covering his face with a scarf. He ran as fast as he could to hide behind a clump of trees at a fork on the road. The night when Yonamine left for her father's house, her husband also went behind her. He was dressed as a bandit. He hid behind the trees waiting for Yonamine because he wanted to attack her. Darkness fell and he saw Yonamine approaching the fork from where she would take a left turn to reach her father's house. When she crossed the clump of trees, Bushi jumped out from behind the trees and tried to attack her. Yonamine was swift and sharp in her reaction to the attack. She held her attacker by the hand and kicked him with such force that the attacker fell to the ground unconscious. Yonamine dragged him and tied him to a tree with her sash. She adjusted her backpack and set off round the corner for her father's home. When Yonamine was crossing the trees, Bushi attacked her from behind. But Yonamine was very quick with her response to the attack. She held the attacker's hand and laid him down. Then she punched him and the attacker was unconscious. Yonamine dragged the attacker and tied him with her sash to a tree, and she left for her father's home. The next day, as she was returning home in the afternoon, she saw her bandit still tied to the tree as she had left him the previous night. "Shall I untie you now or leave you here?" she asked him. "Please untie me," mumbled the bandit. "I beg you to forgive me. I shan't ever do this again." Swiftly she untied him and walked away quickly. She was in a hurry. She had to reach home in time to cook her husband's evening meal. Little did she realize that she had just released her husband from his captivity. That evening, quite a while after she had set the dinner ready, Bushi walked in looking tired and dull. She helped him wash and set out fresh clothes for him to wear. She invited him to have a hot meal. As Bushi sat down to dinner, he brought out a white sash from his pocket and gave it to his wife. "This is yours, if I am not mistaken," he said, looking into her eyes. "Oh, Bushi, was it you? I am so sorry," exclaimed Yonamine. "You don't have to be sorry," said Bushi. "You taught me a lesson that I won't forget all my life. And that is, don't underestimate anybody." "Not even a woman?" asked Yonamine playfully. "Especially not a woman," said Bushi, and they burst out laughing together. Children, can you tell me what did we learn from this story? This story taught us that there is no difference between a man and a woman. Both are equally strong and both should be treated equally. I hope you enjoyed this story and I hope that you learned something new. We learned a very important message from today's stories. For homework, I would like you to share this message with your friends and family members. On that note, I would like to end this session. I hope you enjoyed today's session and you learned something new. I will see you in our next session. Until then, take care and stay safe. Bye.